All right. Hi, everybody. This is Joanna Roche. I'm the Executive Director of GSN Planet. Welcome to our Tuesday afternoon support series at 3 p.m. I feel like we're watching a television show, but it's super exciting to have our panelists here today. And as you know, Megan is in the control booth working all the controls and taking care to make sure that this goes off without any tech issues. And we're super excited to bring us all together today to talk a little bit about what's happening with regard to COVID in the reopening process and around the country. We have a couple of folks from California, and Anne is in Florida. And so I think we'll get a good and balanced view of what's happening, because I think those are some of the areas that's been affected the most. So thanks to all the attendees for being here today. Please know that you can type questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand and let us know that you have a question. And I'll introduce the panelists. So Anne Brown, she's the CEO of Saltability. Really happy to have you here, Anne. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Philippe. You. Philippe is with Universal Companies, and Jim is with CEO and owner of LEC, Living Earth Crafts. So thanks for joining us today and looking forward to the conversation. What I'd love to do is to start with talking to you all about what's happened since the most recent shutdown. So I know in California, some places have been shut down. I know up by you, they have been shut down, Philippe. And I believe, Anne, also down by you, there's been another round of shutdowns. So tell us what that is like and how your business is responding. So we'll start with you, Anne, then we'll go to Philippe and then to Jim. Take it away.
Certainly in Dade and Miami and Broward have been troubled. Palm Beach County is such a big county that we saw things opening up, although honestly, I didn't see a lot of hotel spas or resort spas opening up. We work with a lot of chains, including Hand & Stone, and I have to say, they did a great job of reopening, and they're still open. So I think that their membership base is okay, but like we all know, a lot less people want to get touched and a lot less members or clients want to come in. And because of the age range, older here probably than California, we do see a lot less people, especially if they're wealthy. They are staying in. They're not coming out. And they are dedicated to that. And because of the quarantine now, it's really made it tough for people. We were looking at New Jersey at the beginning of this COVID thinking, well, gosh, nobody wants anyone from New Jersey, but now Florida's kind of that state too. So, I have good friends in Toronto, but if you go to Toronto, if I went to Toronto, I would be in quarantine 14 days. If I got out of the quarantine, it's a $650,000 fine or up to 6 months in prison or jail. I know, and I didn't believe it, but we are doing a pilot with the Hand & Stone chain in Canada because we're in the 340 locations in the United States. And the director of education there for massage therapists, I think probably everyone on the call knows, it's a 2-year degree to become a therapist. So they're very, their intention, drinking the Kool-Aid about what they do. And the director of education said, yes, it is a $650,000 fine. So you can't get people in or out. So even for people that may live in New Jersey, they're kind of stuck in and they want to stay safe so they can make it back home. So our season's just over and we are very seasonal. So the summer, all the snowbirds go away for people that don't know that. And so right now, some of the snowbirds are stuck here and they are not dining, even though the restaurants are open in Palm Beach. We have curfews now, but I live in Boca. No one stays out past, we call Boca midnight about 8:45. So nobody, which I love. I'm usually in bed by 9:30 so I can get up and box. So for me, it's just thrown us, Joanna, into looking at how we do business, which we've been doing business. We're doing a lot more salt walls now. We do this pilot with Hand & Stone that's taken off really well. And I'm doing a lot more consumer business now than B2B. I can, unlike Philippe, who's with a bigger company, and Jim, who's certainly with a bigger company, I can be nimble really quickly and throw out some Facebook ads. I'm on Amazon now, and I was reluctant to be with Amazon because they would take a share of my money. But now that I look at it, I think I just won an award for a body scrubber that's made out of salt. And I think, man, I'm going to put it on Amazon. So we're almost done doing that. And those are things that I probably wouldn't even thought about.
Yeah, so you're able to pivot and do some different and attract some different ways of earning revenue in some non-traditional channels. That's great. That's great.
And it's a double-edged sword. That's my last comment. I get a lot less PPP money, so it's running out. So, you know, everything kind of has this wave of good and bad about it.
Right. All right, Philippe, tell us about what's happening for you with this most recent shutdown and how it's affecting your business.
So, hello everybody. I know there are a lot of friends on the call here. It's nice to be back here. You know, a few months ago, we had an event in California with a lot of spa directors, and we talked about starting an association in Northern California.
Yeah.
And COVID really prompted that thing to happen. And we have the North Cal Spa Professional Network, and we put together some very strong guidelines for reopening. And we were getting together twice a month. And it was a group of about 30 to 35. It is a group of 30 to 35 spa directors and owners. And we came up with a 35 pages guidelines, and we all got very excited and very proud of the work we did. And of course, spas reopened, and then we got the news a few weeks later that we had to shut down again. And so that's where we are now. So it's kind of, our spa directors are not very happy about it, but I was actually at Auberge Soleil, which is a very prestigious spa in the area last week, and we are going to do some salt changes, changing some rooms and putting some different experiences to cope with the new world we are living in. And but they were able to do outdoor massage, which is very good. So at least that all the spas in California can do outdoor massages. So if you need cabanas, if you need outdoor treatment table from gym, things are going to change, and people are going to need different things that they didn't need before. So I don't know if you want me to talk a little bit about what we have been doing at Universal at this point to adapt to the new situation.
So Philippe, what I'd love to do is let Jim talk a little bit about how the current shutdown is affecting him, or if it has, and then we can go and we can talk about what each of your businesses has done to adapt, or what you're doing now.
Okay.
Okay, great, thanks. Jim.
Well, first off, thank you for inviting me to participate in your panel, and with Anne and Philippe, two incredible industry experts. I'm humbled to be on the stage with such knowledgeable people about what goes on in our industry. But, certainly this was very devastating for my business, and we have had to manage very carefully during the shutdown. It happened at the end of March for us. I think on a Thursday night, I believe we got notification that the shutdown of all businesses were happening. We were in the process of trying to get ourselves designated as an essential business because we do a fair amount of medical equipment for the medical industry and hospitals and facilities. So that happened. But we were operating during the early days of the shutdown. So certainly we had to put a lot of new protocols in place to ensure the safety of our workforce very early on, before we knew a whole lot, right down to not being able to get hand sanitizer very easily. I actually went on Amazon early on and ordered, I don't know what I paid, a lot for alcohol, and we made our own hand sanitizer for the first couple of weeks, which is now something that we make, for others. But we had to do a shutdown. We furloughed a bunch of employees. We did a lot of remote retooling so that our workforce could work remotely. But we've stayed in operation during the entire shutdown, and certainly as we've been starting to recover, and our customers are starting to reopen, our business is getting busier. But now with this resurgence that's been happening, the markers are moving again, and I feel very sorry for all the spa operators and hotel operators out there and restaurant owners who are trying to comply and move forward and keep their businesses going.
Right.
As Philippe said, it's all about being outdoors now. So there's a lot going on there. So I don't know what details you want from me, Joanna, in terms of what we did as a business, but I'll stop there for now.
Okay, great. So Philippe, actually, let's flip back to you. And why don't you give us a little bit of an overview of some of the things that you and Universal have done to sort of pivot in this time, and what's working for you and what isn't. And then Jim and Ann, you'll also answer that same question.
So I will always remember the day when my CEO, Karen Short, that you all know because she's a former president of GSN, when she did an announcement, that she had to lay off half of the company, which is a lot because at Universal we had 160 employees, and when you lay off half of the company because your revenue is 80% down, it's very, very painful. And but she did it with grace and a very compassionate way. And the good news is that we have been rehiring people now, and we are at 70 to 80% of what we were before. Revenues have been doing well. We've been doing quite well because we reacted very fast by offering PPE products and masks and sanitizing products, and those sales have been going extremely well. So we also kept the people at the warehouse. We had about 35 people at the warehouse, and those people have been extremely busy shipping all day long. We had later a second shift. And but at the office, from 70 people at the office, we were down to 8 people coming to the office. Everybody else was working from home, the people that had not been laid off. And we had to adjust to a new way of doing business, and a new way of communicating, and a new way of making sure the employees were still feeling connected with the company and with their peers. So, we use Teams, and there was a lot of meetings to make sure employees were fine, working on flexible hours, helping them because a lot of them now, they have kids, and the kids can't go to school. And so we have to be very creative in making sure that they are fine. But our HR department was like Jim mentioned, from day one, they were very reactive. And all the state of Virginia, where Universal is located, was the first state to put in place some health and safety measures for the workplace. So the guidelines were very stringent, and Universal exceeded those requirements. We bought the type of thermometer that you find in airports with a camera, where everybody coming in the building, they get the temperature check, visitors and employees. You have to find, every day they have to fill out the surveys, making sure they don't have the symptoms. The thing that Universal put in place is amazing. 4 times a day at 2, 4, 6, and 8, the whole building is sanitized all over. So it's extremely, it's done extremely well. The CDC guidelines have been posted all over the place, in the office, at the warehouse, with signage, and the employees have been following the guidelines. This morning, my HR lady told me that Luan Ayer, and she told me that they just bought little neck fans for all the employees at the warehouse so that they could cool off, during the day, because it gets hot in Virginia, and so the air circulates. And but so far, knock on wood, nobody has been infected. We have also put in place some protocols that employees and visitors have to follow. But it's working very, very well. We also did some marketing and sales initiatives, and I can talk to you about that now, or we can wait a little bit if you want to, that we bring that up later.
Yeah, let's wait about the marketing. We'll circle back. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So Anne, let's ask you a little bit about how your business has adapted and what are some of the things that you've done.
Well, for people that don't know, we're a very small entrepreneurial company and we have a staff of 9. So unlike Jim and Philippe that are going to talk about maybe hundreds of staff, when COVID hit, we got some PPP money and everyone went home and got paid, because I can't go without my accountant. I can't go without my warehouse manager, and some of the guys that know and gals know what the nuts and bolts of the business, and it was important for me to keep them safe. I have 2 teenagers. We're not that big and we're kind of like a family and we have a culture here. So I just said, hey, you're going to make the same money, sit at home. And I actually box every day. So I got a heavy bag on Amazon. I put it in the warehouse and I started boxing a lot on my own. And then I started boxing with my trainer via FaceTime, but it worked and I've loved it. Now I'm back at the gym and I'm working with my trainer. But for me, the reason why I've heard many different sides. COVID's like a flu, it's this, it's that. But I just talked to someone that we all know in the spa industry, and this person said to me today, hey, I had COVID and I have some lasting problems now. I have joint problems, I have this, and I never had any of that before. And when you look at that, if, I believe this person's 100% honest, God, I can only pray for some if there are long-term effects of this virus. So, I don't like the word social distancing. I think it should be physical distancing because I think this is isolating enough. But I think you also have to kind of make lemons out of lemonade. I did allow, I have a doctor that's a good friend, and he got in a lot of the blood tests that are 99% effective. And so I said to the staff, he's going to hold 7 or 8 every month. If you want to come back in, we'll all get tested and we'll all know. I also am on the College of Nursing Advisory Board for FAU, our university. And it was so interesting, and I'll just spend a minute on this. So sorry, it's not really relevant about Saltability, but I think it's very interesting that the FAU, one of the professors I know through the hospitality management program there, he gave out a free certification for hospitality management because there was so many people in the service industry that were just eliminated from their jobs. And so now over 100,000 have taken the certification program. So through the College of Nursing, we came up with a contact tracing program because our dean is a prior nurse and I'm more of the entrepreneurial marketing gal on that board. So I was like, let's give out partially free. So we did it for mental health because those first line responders like nurses, etc., had all that weight where they just could get it easily. So we've done that and it's been successful. So then I tend to do a lot of charity. So then I say, well, what can I do for my company? And so we've started giving out, not free education because we can't, but we're doing CEUs. We're giving away free. I'm a licensed reflexologist and a licensed massage therapist. So we're giving away some protocols to people that want to buy salt items, that want to do some techniques at home with each other. But we're doing a lot for single therapists, where my business was really geared to the luxury spa market. I'm having to become more adaptive to reach out to therapists one-on-one. And the best way I can do that is to offer them education at a very discounted price where I'm not really making any money, but they're getting national CEUs for it. So, interesting, the dynamics of the people on this call. My company's so much smaller now. Are we struggling for business? Yeah, but we've been adaptive to do more salt therapy walls and things because you don't need a therapist to do a salt therapy wall. And with a halo generator, you're getting this experience. And then I did it with some guided meditation and used one of those healing gemstones mats. And we went out to Hand and Stone. And luckily, because I had a relationship, and I think that's when I look at Philippe and Jim and even you, Joanna, we've known each other for years. You know, we're in a small fishbowl of a family. So because I had that relationship with Hand and Stone, I immediately got on the phone with Cindy, the vice president. She got on the phone with the CEO. And within a week, we were building a salt therapy room in a new spa that they had closed in Delray Beach, which is about 4 miles from us. A pilot like that could have never been done in less than 3 or 4 months, but because I knew them, and so now we're doing one with the Woodhouse Day Spa. And, you know, I certainly hope it takes off and the technology's there for salt therapy. But as you can see, again, I have to be that quick and adaptive because we're so much smaller.
Okay. Thanks, Ann. Jim, what about you? What were some of the pivots that you made, and how did your business adjust?
Well, I'm very proud of our team. You know, we have some PPE equipment that we've developed for spas to use. But I have a few things that, you know, I've been jotting down some notes as we've been talking about some tips or some ideas that many of our operators probably already have done, but I thought were very helpful for us. So I wanted to go through a couple of them. One is in the reopening, we didn't force any of the employees to come back. And, you know, it was hard because for some of our factory employees, you know, with the $600 federal plus the state unemployment, they were making good money. And not everybody, you know, was really anxious to come back to a potentially risky environment. And the employers have a lot of power. You know, if we call you back, you're really supposed to come back, and we have the ability to, you know, almost deny people benefits from this thing. And so when we called our factory employees back as we were, you know, as our volume was building, we didn't force people back. And I think that made a very big difference. The second one was we were very flexible because there are a lot of, you know, parents out there who all of a sudden had their kids thrust upon them. They couldn't go to school anymore. And their ability to work normal hours during the day has been dramatically impacted. And we have a lot of women working in our company, a lot of very important women in our company, and being flexible with hours and how they were working and how many hours they were working was important. The third one was taking advantage of the programs. So we called people back, but we didn't necessarily force everybody to come back because we didn't want them to lose some of the advantages that they had, whether it was FMLA or whether it was, you know, if they only got called back to 50 or 60% of their hours, they could still get the federal tax advantage, the federal tax benefit for as long as it lasted. So I felt like, you know, the flexibility that we showed in terms of crafting hours earned us some goodwill with people. And then finally, I would just say this was a hugely stressful environment for everybody, including me. And providing that safe place for people to express frustration, anger, fear, all of the above, and trying to foster that environment in the company was hard, you know. But it was also, I think it's making us a stronger management team than we were pre-COVID. I honestly believe that we all are closer now than we were, even though we're mostly physical distanced. I mean, a lot of this stuff is happening over Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all that stuff. But we've definitely, everybody, including our children, are going through this event that's really a life changer and a perspective changer. And we're doing it together.
Right. So Jim, you actually bring up a really important point, mental health, which I think is, you know, critical in our industry, particularly since we're the wellness industry. Have you know, what was the response from your staff about being upfront about that, right? Because so often, like, the concept of mental health or that discussion gets swept under the rug. And I think it's really important in this time to have that conversation be elevated.
Well, I will tell you, I wish, you know, in the next go around, my son was telling me about, it was called Slack or Slacker.
Yep, Slack.
And we don't Slack. And I heard about it last night, and I heard about it maybe a year ago when the company went public, but I didn't pay attention to it. But he was telling me about how this is a way of back channel opening up forums for discussion across all employees, which of course is very scary to a larger employer because you don't know what's going to come out. But, you know, that's part of the vulnerability thing. Well, what we've done, you know, one of the things that I started, and it wasn't right away, and I will give my kudos to Tara Grogisk, who is always helping me to become a better person and a better leader every single day, you know, said, Jim, we need to have a daily check-in with the executive team. And it's a big investment of time. But I started this first thing in the morning executive check-in, and we have been talking about issues around mental health, around our perspectives, and we have been sharing that out through those teams. Like, we want our executives to go out and do that with all their teams, and kind of filtering it out. So I wish I could say we were great at this, but you know, it's kind of been a little bit from the top down of recognizing the situation that we're in and cutting each other some slack for maybe saying and doing or reacting to things that wouldn't be totally appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Philippe, what about you? What, in terms of mental health of your staff, you know, what are some of the things that Universal has been doing or would recommend?
So, the thing is, the staff at Universal, because of the way the offices were laid off, it's a huge, big room, and everybody is in the same office, about 70 people. And people walk and talk and communicate all the time. There's a lot of interaction, and it's a big family. And that's what makes it, enjoyable for the people to come to work, because they have this physical connection. So of course that disappeared, and they are missing it now. Everybody is missing it a lot. So we are bringing back in-person meeting, I think next week for the first time, limited to 25 people. Probably going to be outside. I don't have the details, but at least, slowly we're going to bring back those in-person meetings so people can get together and see each other, because everybody has been affected mentally, like Jim said. I'm affected. It's a whole. We're all in the same thing, in the same boat, and we have to support and help each other. Not only our employees, but also our customers. Our vendor partners, so we are all in the same boat. So to answer your question, we are bringing back people slowly, carefully, when they feel comfortable coming back, and somebody's talking there.
Keep going. No, that's okay. Anne had a small interruption. She's fine.
Okay. So as far as our business, June has been kind of there was a shift in June in the product mix that we were selling. Before June, it was all PPE and sanitation products, and we really did a lot of work to offer those products to our clients. If you look at the Universal website, you have the mask, the shields, and we are now working on shields for pedicure and for counters. I mean, we have a whole collection of things to address the issue. But we are seeing now in July a rollback, to where it used to be. I mean, not where it used to be, of course, but a rollback to people starting to spend money on other things. And there will be a shift in, my specialty is equipment. And of course, I'm always looking at, what can we do to offer our customers what is needed given the new situation. And we have the oxygen chairs. We have some beautiful loungers from Living Craft for the salt rooms. We have partnership with companies that help us create amazing salt rooms combining halotherapy and aromatherapy, chromotherapy. I mean, the whole experiential room that people can use, customer can go to a spa and use by themselves or with somebody else. So it's a shift, and we have to reinvent ourselves, and we are reinventing our product mix all the time and adding new things and educating our clients about what we are doing. So education has always been for Universal the #1 priority. We created the UCO Learning Network, and we have an average of 30,000 people attending our seminars, so every month. So it's huge, and I encourage everybody to check on the website and attend the seminars. It's free, and you can learn a lot about what's new and what you can bring to your spa to adapt to the new situation. We also have a new program called the Good Karma Rewards Program, and it's free to enroll. And each time you spend money online with Universal, you get some points, and you can use those points to buy more things for free. and it's a wonderful program. The response has been terrific. And the last thing we did, of course, we are always updating our COVID-19 guidelines. It's online and accessible to everybody. So a lot of things happening, a lot of changes in the sales and marketing, and the response seems to be, very good so far. So thank you all to our customers for sticking with us.
Great. So Anne, aside from the boxing, what are you doing in terms of dealing with the sort of mental health of your small team and also of your clients? I imagine that many people are looking at salt to see what healing benefits it has in response to coronavirus. Can you talk a little bit about that? You're muted.
Our team's small, so I look for the personalization of whatever. My office manager had an anniversary, and I know their favorite restaurant, so I asked her husband if they felt comfortable going there, and they did. So it was nice. It was the first time they'd been out in 2 months to a restaurant. So I look for the personal touches for each of the staff and treat them very uniquely based on what they want, and what their love is or things like that. Another one of my accountant or data entry gals loves facials, and she felt comfortable going somewhere and getting one. So that's what she's done. And now they're meeting new metrics or goals in different areas. So now instead of just saying thank you, we're kind of basing her next facial or whatever she wants to do next on how we're trying to move into this kind of B2B or B2C kind of dealing with Amazon and more consumer-based selling, because people are at home. And what I've done though for the resort spas is it's kind of, like I said, I'm a massage therapist, so a lot of times we dry body brush. Well, now how do you disinfect that well? And if you do, how long, if the stuff has to stay on 10 or 12 or 14 minutes, how many body brushes do you use in a day? And do you give them to a guest? So we came up with this skin scrubber, and they can give it to the guest. And, it's about $5. And then we have a how-to card of how they can use it at home and abrade the skin and get the minerals into the skin. And it looks like a gift, and it is a gift, and it's a one-time use. And then the client, as we've seen in some of the retail percentages, I think they're almost 60% more likely to come back to that spa because a gift was given that they can use for home use. Everyone would love to go to a spa right now, but not that comfortable. In the way of mental health, I've learned a lot from the College of Nursing, and there are a lot of free, right now, if you look for certification or ways to get help, it's the most apparent time where people are giving freely of their time and energy, especially for mental health. So on my partner side, they are calling a lot, and it's interesting that a lot of them are getting CapEx money and looking at ways that they can have outdoor space or a sauna outside with some Himalayan salt or a soaking tub and create more of an environment, or even a circuit outside so that they don't have the guests inside. So I've done a lot of those signature treatments with other spas before, and those come easy to me. So I like helping them. I mean, are we making the most money? Am I working as hard? Yeah, I am. But, you know, sometimes there's a whole understanding that, you know, life has changed. Like I said before we got on this call, my son is going to be a senior in high school, and I just went off and got him this cute little used VW Jetta. And, you know, to buy a used car from a guy wearing a mask, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. But, you know, he's going to be a senior in high school. What kind of experience is he going to have? I don't know. I mean, this is beyond me. I'm not going to bring in God, but I believe in God and the universe. And sometimes you just got to throw the ball down the field and hope that, you know, the universe picks it up for you. And never more in my life, really, and I mean this, do I work out of less fear.
Right.
And everything, and my quote today was, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I mean, these kind of things. Yesterday was my birthday, and I am not 49, but I'm a proud 53. Thank you. My boxing coach, who's a very spiritual Zen Buddha guy, sent me this book from Amazon, and it's called Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee. And it is so empowering. Like, I could have read it all night 4 times, because whatever, God, universe is calling me just to allow, and we're moving a little more into the med spa arena. You know, I've just gone from God and the universe to injectables, but it's amazing what women won't do without. So we are putting in they're doing a lot of NAD and ketamine and a lot of IVs. You know, we used to hear about, you know, the Myers cocktail or a vitamin infusion. These med spas are doing some wild stuff, and for anti-aging, and they love the salt, and we have smaller halo generators now. And so I'm, you know, again, I'm able to adapt my little, you know, Chris Craft quickly to say, hey, you know, let's get in the med spa business. And we've been successful around Boca. And so I'm using those testimonials to build and grow, you know, my brand in different areas that's unexposed at this point. So even though we're making less revenue, I feel like I'm kind of working my can off, but I'm kind of happy to do it. And I'm working out of a real humble factor that life has changed, and I feel fine, and my family's fine. And, you know, I'm not going to get emotional, but I could, and that's a brand new Ann Brown. So, you know.
Did you just quote REM on that? Was that REM you just? You feel fine? That's great.
Leave it to Jim to make light of this.
So Jim, question for you. What I'd love to hear about is how are you guys communicating with your clients, right? Like, what's that communication like for you, and how has that changed?
It's changed a lot, and it depends on which clients you're talking about. I mean, we have multiple sides to our business, from day salons and pedicure to individual massage therapists at Earthlite to holistic practitioners, all the way to spas and resorts and medical. So it's broad and vast. I would say that for the spa, you know, the Green Spa Network being, you know, at least now very based in the hotel and resort market, a lot of people are out on furlough, and they still are. And, you know, the communication is very different and very informal, and we're staying in touch, and we're there because these are our friends and our family. But a lot of people are still not working. And so we're trying to be very sensitive to what they're going through. So those channels are Instagram and Facebook and texting and phone calls that way to people who are not working. But I think that we're also getting at this new digital age, and here we are in a webinar, and I can't, you know, there are so many regional spa associations that people are trying to connect and share best practices, and they're remote. And all of a sudden we're all becoming these experts on Zoom and Microsoft Teams and GoToMeeting. And it's amazing the functionality that, you know, I'm sure 3-4 months ago, most of us didn't even know existed. But it's incredible. And it's really, to me, it's more than a half a step forward from a phone call. Like it's not the same as being there, but it's really way better than you know, a live conversation over a conference call. So I love it. And that's really what we're doing. And then also kind of marketing has changed, right? You know, I think a lot of people are probably getting their industry trade magazines delivered to their office. They're not seeing it. And trade shows are all but done. The one-on-one meeting trade shows, they're not happening. And so these, you know, conferences and webinars, you know, whether people are talking about topics that folks are interested in or whatever, are really driving a lot of the marketing and communication today. So that's
I
what
think that, okay. Philippe, what about you? How has this impacted the way that you're communicating with clients?
So our clients are coming to Universal a lot for the education that we are providing and the seminars and the protocol for treatments. And so with all the brands that we carry, we had reviewed the protocols and made sure that they knew what they could do and couldn't do, you know, during COVID. So there has been a lot of communication with the clients. We also want to help them financially, I mean, to find out what works financially for them. And as a matter of fact, I would also love for people on this call to tell us what they're looking for, what is working for them, and how we can help. Because we don't have all the answers. Most of the things we do and the initiative we take are from customers that tell us what is working for them. For example, I live in the Napa Valley. I go to a flotation place called True Rest, many of you know, and I call the owner because I know him very well, and I tell him, Russ, you know, are you still open? And he said, yes, I am open. I never closed. So flotation therapy never was affected because there's no therapist, there's no, people involved in the treatment. It's kind of, you do it by yourself. So I learned something that day and I told myself, gee, that's great. You know, let's try promoting our flotation tanks to our clients because maybe that's a way to convert some rooms that, sorry, Jim, but have been used before massage or facials, and that could be adapted, or Vichy shower or hydrotherapy, that, you know, where we could put a shower and put a flotation.
We have those tables too.
You do? All right. So anyway, what I'm saying is that if I heard that from a client and I want to hear more, I want people to tell us, hey, that's working for us. Please, you know, share the good news. Mm-hmm. I think you know, we have all been hit by a car. We you know, it's a big accident, but we're going to recover. We are human. I mean, as human beings, it's amazing how we can cope. I feel way better now, probably like Anne was mentioning, that's 3 or 4 months ago. You know, I think for some reason we are coping with what's happening. You know, there's a coping mechanism in place, and we are all going to go through that, and we are going to bounce back and be all very successful again. I'm 100% convinced of that. So we just have to, you know, be a little patient and make sure we go through that in a safe way. But this industry is just terrific, and GSN, you know, has been very supportive of all the changes that, you know, helping the people go through what we are going. So that's the thing, you know, it's a mental process that we all need to go through, and we are. So that's good news.
Thank you. Anne, what about you? How has your communication with your clients changed, and what ideas might you have in that area?
We've changed a lot. I'm more of a, you know, database collector of emails, and usually my emails are pretty personalized. they have a point, a start and an end that have an impact. And we've done a lot more on Facebook geared to single massage therapists and boosting point posts. And we're doing a lot more paid digital with Google. But, as they say, you have to measure it. So it's, you can't just do it once. You have to have a consistent message. You have to see, what days are better, what times, who's reacting to it, who's clicking open a page. And that takes some time and energy, but it's been effective for us. And once again, we're headed to sell something that we believe in to a very different client than we were going for. But we have to keep coddling and keeping that relationship open with, the main players for us. But, I think the dynamics of the spa industry has changed. I know this is more about vendors and business, but, I just can't imagine being an esthetician and being out of work for 4 months and wondering, when this federal program has left and there's no more $600, how do you make your rent? And what do you do next month? And if they say it's seasonal, like the flu, what happens in October? So, there are, I don't want to be, it's storming outside, but there's a lot of people very affected by this, and evictions and some of that. And, it's going to change this little industry we know as a spa industry. And I know that Philippe and Jim are more in some of med spa, which I do think has some staying power. But I even look, I know Jim has a pedicure business, and I think it's a dynamic time because there is a lot of Vietnamese influence. And I think if there was something made that could be used for hotel spas, it would really and I'm a nail tech too, so it would separate a lot of, I might pay a little bit more at a resort spa if I knew they had this in the water or this around or oxygen this or some kind of air scrubbing machine, some things that maybe Jim's not in that business, but he could add to layers to say to a hotel, hey, this is what we're going to do in your pedicure room. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm kind of saying, hey, you've got now all these underutilized treatment rooms because there's no therapist in them. If you can't, get the therapist, which we've always had a shortage, why not then make it a salt therapy room? And what I've done is brought in some partners that now I'm distributing, because I think there's going to be a lot of companies that are either going to need management help or what I have, even though it's 9 or 10 people, of just an accountant and a bookkeeper and some warehouse space. And maybe I've taken on like these mats, these gemstone and infrared and pulse electromagnetic field and a guided meditation company and a cryotherapy company and, some unique things so that I'm just not selling one widget. I believe in salt, but I also believe in wellness, and people know that. My mission is about wellness, and so I'm never going to put my staff in harm's way and say, hey, you come in. Like Jim said, it's this fine dance of making sure your family, as we all know, and I always used to say, my family's from Ireland, so all I have in the United States is my mom and brother. So I've been in this industry for, I don't want to say, but a long time, 20, all right, maybe 27 years.
Can I build on a little bit what you said, Ann? I wanted to address the issue of how this industry is changing or what won't change. And I want to make a couple of statements. One, maybe it's me, as I am an optimist, and my equity partners and everybody around me always says, oh, Jim, you're an optimist. But I think a couple of things. One is we're going to get past this, as Philippe said. I believe at some point we're going to have a vaccine. I know for a fact from some of the equipment and the things that we're selling and making right now that people are getting better and better at treating this virus. And it's not to say that it's not really dangerous, but I think we are going to get past this sooner rather than later. And I believe in the power of human touch and the healing power of human touch. And that's not going away. That is a fundamental thing. And I hear all this stuff about, oh, we got to have this touchless service and this. I believe that it's not going away and people need it, and it should be an essential service, number one. So for me, it's more about how do we make this as safe as possible? There's never the elimination of all risk, but how do we make this as safe as possible so this essential service can be delivered? Whether it's a shield or a glove or cleaning practices or hand sanitizer, masks, all of it. But I believe we will be back. We are going to get past this. But in the meantime, I believe it's still in great demand, especially as part of mental wellness. And what I want to tell you is I'm selling a lot of portable massage tables, a lot. And somebody's buying them and they're using them for, I believe, massage. So there might be a lot of massage therapists that are out of work in the hotels and the resorts, but I believe that as are reopening and people are retooling, like you, Ann, you're an incredible entrepreneur and you're flexible and adaptable and you're innovative and you're going to do incredibly well. I believe as a society and as a culture, we are going to adapt more tenets of wellness, and human touch is not going to go away.
Well, I want to just say one thing, because when we did that pilot for the Hand and Stone, you know, we were using it as a touchless point because they were really down on therapists. But you know what we're doing is now, as we're doing more of them, they're doing it as a retention. So they're saying to therapists, if you come on board, you can get this pulmonary health pre and post shift. And, you know, that's clinical, what salt does in the lungs. So in a way, they're using it as a retention factor. And that's my goal. Like Jim and Philippe, you, Joanna, we're in this business because we believe in it. Or Jim would be selling golf clubs or whatever, and I would be doing whatever I used to do, which was credit bureau service, believe it or not. And I remember the day that I got out of that business and I met Ann Bramham, who I see there's some Ann Bramham supporters on the call, and she changed my life. And they say, you know, when you're ready, the teacher will appear. She was my teacher and she ingrained in me wellness. Yeah. And my point is that we all want to help people get better. We're all kind of empaths in a way to help get to the next level of wellness. And I think with, you know, people on this call, we're going to get there together. And it's going to be great. And we're going to have new things to do. And maybe we'll even have more wellness for our staff. As you well know, spa directors get PTSD way over food and beverage director and some of the things that didn't even make sense to us before. So I think out of this could come this whole new level of whether it's sanitation or wellness or tribal or culture. I am an optimist too, but I also think that, you know, we have a lot of therapists that may want to work, but we're working in a hotel and can't maybe make that jive to doing home or house calls really quickly. But that may be an opportunity for Jim to start up a network so that therapists can communicate about how they could do house calls. I mean, that's how quickly my mind thinks of this stuff, you know, and I think that's what we all need to do, because I wouldn't have thought of half of this stuff if I wasn't on the call with Jim and Joanna and Philippe and Megan.
But I think that you, Jim and Ann, you guys make really an incredible point, which is what the outcome of all of this is that it has forced us to become more creative, right? And to come together as a community and to elevate solutions that can benefit everyone. And while before we may have all been staying in our own lane, right? Okay, I'm doing this thing over here and you're doing this thing over there. The lanes have become eliminated. The lanes are eliminated and everybody is doing this and everybody is pulling everybody else along. And that the result of that, I think, has been this great infusion of creativity into our industry. And I think that that is the hidden opportunity of what's happened here. So yeah. I want to say, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I believe, and I know that Philippe and Universal and Ann, you know, we're trying to facilitate the solutions to the challenges that are in front of us, right? We want to help deliver wellness. We want to help deliver massage and healing. How do we do that? How do we help create the safe places, the well places, the well techniques, so that people can go about making their living and pursuing their higher calling, whether it's aesthetics or massage or other treatments that are up close and personal. There's got to be a way to do it. Maybe we all need to move outdoors, and how do we facilitate that? We're already working on that for some of our segments, as this new thing is about open air. So now all of a sudden it's, okay, what do we do now? How do we help people pivot who were open for 2 weeks and they moved the markers on them? So we're going to keep helping you. Right, Joanna, is like what your event does is help share these ideas and best practices so that we solve these problems.
Yeah, I just want to add that I think one of the challenges is going to be, actually I thought about it by reading Tara's comment about the fact that the demand is here, but that, you know, the therapists are not coming to work or are reluctant to come to work. So what can we do to change that? You know, what kind of education can we help? And what kind of reassurance we can give the therapist, or the spa directors can give the therapist, so that they're willing to go to work. I think that's going to be a challenge. At Universal, we had a seminar where we brought a psychologist, you know, to help understand all the issues that people were going through. I think we need to get more of those that help to our staff, not only for our companies, but also for the spas, you know, and just reassure people. And because it's a long process. I mean, it's not easy for people to go back to work knowing the risk that what can happen. So I think that's important.
Yeah. So I'd like to open it up to any questions out there in the audience and say, really, thank you so much to all of you for joining us today. It was a really good conversation. I love the creativity. I can feel it. It's very inspiring. Let's see what we've got over here. We have a comment that says that the spa director was challenging at the beginning with our therapist, but as Philippe said, this is really about education, listening, and providing the proper PPE. So I think, you know, in terms of ways that we ensure safety for therapists and solve the staffing issue, I think there are models and tips that we can follow, and you guys have all sort of led the way in that regard.
Well, I do want to say two things, just being a therapist and never making any money doing it. You know, I went to massage therapy school to be a good spa director and help open and design spas. Two things. One is, you know, with this federal stimulus, sometimes the money that they're making outweighs what they could make in a spa. And like Jim said, you don't want to bring back staff to know that you're going to lay them off again or furlough them. So I think finding this balance, and I think it has to do with sometimes a little bit of our compensation structure in the US versus other countries and how they pay therapists. And that's a bigger topic, but I think more therapists might get into school here and look at it as a very viable first time, like a lifetime employment situation, instead of what most therapists do in the United States, which is leave their day job and then go back to therapy school. I think that, you know, we may have to remodel some of the financial engineering of bringing therapists back and what they mean to the community of a spa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. All right. I don't think we have any questions. We're at the top of the hour. I want to say again, thank you to all of you for your time and your expertise and for sharing it with the GSN Planet community. And I want to really thank you. And thank you also to all of our sponsors who make it possible for us to conduct these webinars. We really appreciate your support. Thank you. And have a great day. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah,
Bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye, everybody.